And here we are. Hi, darling. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. Good to see you.
Nice to see you too.
Wow, what a Wednesday, man. High vibes up.
Yes, they are. Crazy vibes going out there that the energies are wild.
Yes, yeah. Well, everybody, welcome to High Vibes Up. Today's Wednesday, 24th of May, 2023, and we're so delighted to have you here with our special guest. We have Dylan with us from the DS Mapping Project, and he's got some really exciting stuff to share with us today. But before we bring him on, we have some promotional stuff and some other information to share with you as well. We'll just give it a few minutes before, give some time people to just join us. And
Awesome. Because
Dylan's joining us.
going in line with what's been happening the past few days.
Yes.
I'm not able to get on YouTube on my phone.
Oh, that's okay. I've got the live open on my screen here as well, so I can keep an eye on the chats as well. Hi, Dylan. Welcome.
Hello, everyone. Great to be here.
Great to have you. We thank you for joining us. We're so excited to have you.
Excited to be back. It's always a pleasure.
We're really looking forward to all the wonderful things that we have coming up and the information to share. But before we dive into any of that, Dylan, I'm just going to run through a few of the items, if that's okay with you. And we've got people jumping on.
Are we live already?
We are live, yes. We are. We've got Ronnie saying hi. Hi, Ronnie. She's joining us and she's doing all the great stuff. And so I wanted to kind of just quickly mention while we all warm up, it's a privilege to be here to do this as a guest host on behalf of Kid and Candi as they're on the wellness journey. And it's a real honor. And I'm very grateful for this opportunity to serve them in this manner. So, Diane, I know we're going to cover some topics with respects to, I know Kid's on his wellness journey, and we're still accepting donations. People who have already donated, we're so grateful for that. But we would like, obviously, more of whatever you can manage donations to come through still, because that treatment's ongoing for him. And we're ever so grateful. Kid and Candi are ever so grateful for all the support that they're receiving. So thank you so much to all HVU family that are contributing and supporting the cause. Thank you so much. Secondly, just want to kind of cover, we have a promotion with the SIA that started today. And that's for the Cell Performance Pack. I know, look at the eyes go. Whoop.
Look at him.
I know. I saw his eyes go boom. What did you just say? Yeah, there's a promo that started today for the Cell Performance Packs. And so I know it's a time where we all need to hydrate. We need to drink more water. And if people don't like drinking plain water, then this is a great thing to add to your water, because not only does it come in 3 different flavors, and it's good for the mind, it's good for the mood, and it's good for energy. And you can combine all 3 together in your waters, or you can have them separately. So we have a berry flavor, a citrus flavor, and one we have a tropical flavor. And one is for the mind, mood, and energy. So when you combine all 3 into one, you've got bursts of flavor. You've got everything happening with the redox in these 3 sachets. That's obviously helping your body to kind of recharge, feel fresh, feel hydrated. So you've got the multifunctions happening with this promo pack. So the promo right now that they've started today is if you buy 3, there are 3 different bundles. You buy 3 packs and you get 1 free, which saves you about $50. And I think that's a great promo. Because it's not very often that they come up, but when they do, I think it's a great opportunity to grab them and stack up on them as well. You can have them individually, or you can have them separately, combine them. Awesome flavors, and they taste so good. So this with the water, this is what I hydrate with. because the flavor is so good, so good. And the energy, the clarity of mind, the focus, everything balances everything out. So I encourage everybody to take advantage of this promo. It's going on from today till the 31st of May. So anybody who needs help with ordering, you can always reach out to me and we'll be happy to place your orders. And any questions, message me if you have to, and we'll be happy to kind of guide you on that. So without further ado, did you have some questions and you were going to say something?
I just wanted to say real quick, I know that my daughter, she's an ER nurse, and she takes all three of those. So the energy gives her great energy without getting any jitters. There's no jitters. The mind helps her focus, and stay, when you're in a scattered, crazy environment. And then the mood, I know it's kind of just, disguised in the word mood, but it helps with stress and those strains, those adrenal, dragging things that drain your adrenals. She just goes, she
That's
does her
awesome.
thing, and she mixes all three of them together.
And she's in the chat. She's saying, hi, Mom.
Oh, see, and I can't get on. I'm totally messed up right now.
That's okay. So let's give some time to our special guest here. Dylan, we want to appreciate you and thank you for coming on today to share the wealth of knowledge and wisdom that you have. We're so excited each time you come on because, it just allows everybody's awareness to expand to the next level. And it just adds value to everybody's life, everybody's day. And the excitement that you bring with your energy is just bring it. Let's go. Welcome to High Vibes Up. Today is Wednesday and we're excited to get you going. So I understand that you've just been on a tour and you have some exciting stuff to share.
I have been real busy lately. That's true. I just got back from the Reawakening tour at Trump Doral, my first time staying at a Trump hotel and my first time going to a Reawakening tour event. And I did a whole documentary of it, which a lot of people have probably seen already, but that's on my New Templars Rumble channel. But I might want to go into some of the more details about that today. You guys can ask me any questions about that if you want today. But it was really interesting. There's so much alt media on the rise. And I was able to get a media pass, which I still have here right on my desk, which was pretty cool. I didn't expect to get this.
Wow.
And that got me access into this separate area from the main event where all these different alt media channels were doing interviews with the speakers and even interviews with some of the people who weren't speakers, such as myself and Derek Johnson. Were just kind of floating around the event, even though we weren't speaking there. And so these events just gravitate all different types of truthers, even the ones that aren't on the lineup. And that was pretty exciting. And then on top of that, I had a wedding the next weekend, which doesn't really relate to like the Great Awakening so much, other than it was, I think, an important galactic union between two powerful star seeds that are going to do big things in this world. But it was 2 trips to Florida in 1 week, which was intense. And then I come back and I'm moving into our new office space or warehouse space or showroom space, depending on what we do with it. And so very busy. And on my way to Reawakening Tour, I got invited to speak at Truth Tour in San Diego coming up in July, or actually June. So that's like exactly like a month in advance from right now. And so I was just planning that trip. And so it's been a lot of traveling and planning traveling and moving. And so it's been more like this physical matrix manipulation recently than mapping. I've been doing videos too, but you asked me earlier today if I've been getting downloads from the Pleiadians, and I'm always in contact with them and having synchronicities and little signs here and there from them. But I have not had too much just quiet meditation time recently. It's been go. And so it has felt like, especially with this office coming together, like we're really like changing this matrix that we're in, changing the world, and building, more like light worker oriented businesses. And so that feels right. And we've had some synchronicities of that coming together recently. So it's an exciting time. And of course, there's a lot going on in the world as well. To me, the news has felt maybe a little bit stagnant in a way, not too many major developments, but there's a lot to talk about in the world as well. Everything from Russia, Ukraine, DeSantis jumping into the presidential run today.
Yeah.
And the Durham report, which I'm not sure how much we want to get into some of that political stuff in this conversation, but that one was a long time in coming, right? Everyone in the 17 movement was like expecting this Durham thing to be a bombshell for years. And again, I'm not going to say a nothing burger, but it's like at this point, this is almost a decade old scandal that we're talking about here. And so it's like, yeah, people are just kind of scratching their head on if it still matters at all. But I think this is it was an important marker in the overall big picture of having to follow every legal recourse available in exposing the crimes that have been committed and the corruption before ultimately, what we've said for a long time, the military will be the only way. The court system's broken. The E system where you mark a little box on a B is broken. And so, yeah, we are expecting some kind of military intervention ultimately to resolve a big part of the situation.
I agree.
And I got a little bit of insider intel that I mentioned a specific date in my Florida Doral video that someone told me that I'm not sure if it's accurate or not, but it happens to be my birthday next year, January 24th, was told to me a date when the 45 may come back as the commander-in-chief publicly. Now, I have no way to confirm that, but this was from an individual that seems to be connected with some other very high-level individuals. And I haven't heard anyone else say that date, but I found that pretty interesting. She had a few other predictions we can get into a little bit later.
Oh, yes. I was all like, oh, ding, 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 ding. So when is your birthday, Dylan?
January 24th, 2024. And that is before the next actual E.
Yeah.
And so if that prediction were to come to pass, I'm using so many code words, I hope people know what the hell I'm talking about. That would imply that, something dramatic would happen before the next cycle.
Yes.
And so something out of the ordinary sequence of events.
Oh, that can be so exciting. So what was one of the most exciting parts of that experience for that weekend for you personally?
Let's see, two things come to mind. The first one, just experiencing a Trump resort in general, because that was my first time. I had wanted to stay in the one in Washington, D.C. before, which that's no longer a Trump resort, bought by Hilton. And, I'd seen the one in Vegas from a distance. It's always like very alluring. I hadn't even heard of the one in Doral until I heard about this expo. And so I went there and realized it was a 5-star resort. And it was just like, wow, this DJT knows how to do it right in a hotel for sure. Just beautiful, just gorgeous. And then in terms of the actual event, my favorite speech that I saw, I missed a lot of them because I was in that media area, but my favorite speech by far was Mel K, who I feel like we've been on the same page ever since I first started seeing her videos. I was a New Yorker, much like her, before I ditched that city in 2014. And, she has committed to staying there. And her speech was all about hierarchy and power, which is what I've been talking about a lot recently, too, with the world hierarchy pyramid, which is my latest diagram. And she had a different version. If you've seen me explain my world hierarchy pyramid, I always bring up sort of my reference charts. And there's been a lot of different people make these world hierarchy pyramids of like different conceptions of how power in our world is structured, which is really important to understand that, voting for a president is not going to change things like these secret councils and committees, nor like the big corporations that are really kind of more powerful than our governments in a lot of ways. And so she brought up a really interesting version of that concept, which I can actually pull up now if you guys are interested to see, because I just like seeing someone else pull up a diagram that I approve of, it's not the same as mine, but it was cool to just see someone else thinking along those same lines and deciding that was so important that they wanted that to be like the main focus of their presentation.
And it's kind of validating.
It is in a way. And it's like, it's also synchronistic that, everyone or multiple people in the truth movement are kind of working on the same concept to get a broader understanding within the general public. And of course, this was the audience for MLK was completely full. I mean, like almost all the seats you could see, there wasn't gaps. And that was almost like a 3,000 seat ballroom that we were in. We were in the Donald J. Trump ballroom, which was very fancy, beautiful chairs with white leather and this gold, like sparkly gold enameled bamboo frame. That was pretty exciting.
And the artist in you was just looking around going, oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean the chandeliers in the ballroom, if you saw it in my video, it was just, Eric Trump even made a comment about that the previous venue that they had held a Reawakening tour in probably cost as much as one of the chandeliers in the ballroom that they were in.
I'm sorry, Satnam, I know I interrupted you earlier. Did you want to ask Dylan a question?
Well, I was going to congratulate you, first of all, on your space that's up and coming, because I think that's really exciting. It's going to give you a real foundation for the next leg of your journey. And I think this is going to be massive for you guys.
Want to see a little screen share for the audience to see where we're going?
Let's do that. Let's do that.
There it is, about halfway. Oh, that's about 3/4 of the way moved in.
Love
so
windows.
The tall shelves are going to move. Those are going to be the poster shelves. But we just have a lot of space now. We've been in a basement before, and having to, every time we do an expo, having to bring everything up and down stairs and out the front door, and then when the expo's done, have to file it back into the deepest corner of the basement. And so this door here is actually a freight entrance that leads straight out to a freight entrance of the building. And so we have like access to a freight entrance right basically outside this unit ground level. And so it's very convenient in that sense. It's going to be really easy to load up and do expos. And hopefully I'll be more inspired to actually do expos, because they have been such a pain in the butt with how things are set up now, that it's been kind of demotivating. But so now that we can just throw everything in a van from the freight entrance and go, it's hopefully we'll be starting to do more of those. And hopefully there will be more events where we can vend and do things like that.
That would be awesome. And those freight doors are usually much larger. So, you're not racking, your knuckles trying to get you in a box out.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot more convenient.
That's so awesome. That's a great shot.
Yeah, no, we've got some, when we look at that space, we can just see how much more you're going to come.
Oh yeah.
You can see it
on
coming
this
together. Path. And I've always, for a long time, you know how that has those big kind of like gridded warehouse windows? I've always just wanted to either live or in some way have a space with those big windows, just because I like big spaces and I like those big windows. And it's not necessarily like a view that I was imagining or anything, but just it's like making a very long-term vision finally manifested. And that's what I feel like is happening. We're just manifesting things so rapidly. And just yesterday, like we needed to do a little bit of white painting in there, which was actually completed in that photo you saw. But a friend of mine, Isa, just texted me in the morning, like asking me if I needed help moving. And I was like, well, actually, we're ready for the painting. And so it's just, it came together, and I feel like it's all going to come together there. And I'm actually hoping to eventually maybe host some types of meetups there, as long as we don't like upset too many of the other neighbors. But if I had my say, I'd be hosting like dance parties there too, but we don't, we don't want to get, too many noise violations.
Really quick, Jody, you can find Dylan Monroe on Rumble and under the New Templars, and you can also find him under dsmappingproject.com. Right?
Yes, and that was an acronym, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully you guys will have my high page, link page in the description.
Ronnie's posted your link there as well, so it's in the chat. So thank you, Ronnie, for doing that. Really appreciate it.
And I finally found that diagram I was mentioning that Mel K shared in her presentation that kind of matched mine. It took me a minute to find it there. But this was it. And, this is not as detailed as mine. It doesn't go into the secret societies or like the noble families like mine does. But this is I would say a fairly accurate, or at least decent conception of how things are structured here with, policymakers, Bank of International Settlements, things like the World Economic Forum, Council on Foreign Relations, Club of Rome, Chatham House, Rockefellers, which that's more of a family as opposed to a think tank. But there is the Rockefeller Foundation.
Yeah.
And so, it's really those high level organizations that are setting policy for all of the other ones, which a lot of people became aware of that throughout the C-19 epidemic, when a real focus was put on the WEF as well as the WHO. And so just understand that our national governments that we think we vote for are all beholden to these higher level organizations. And I'm not going to read through all of this, but you get the gist of it. Take a screen cap if you want to really go into detail here. But this was the one that Mel K put up, and she didn't create that. She got that from somewhere else. I forget exactly where she said she got it from, but of course, you can probably see the similarity to the concept of a world hierarchy pyramid that I've been working on.
Just going to say, can you show us yours?
Yeah, I'm gonna pull it out here if I have it here. There it is.
Yours is very beautiful.
Yeah,
It's done so
mine
well.
has a better look to it than that black and white one you just saw.
And for all of you, Dylan is an artist. He's a designer, and clearly you could see that here. And when you watch his website, the New Templars, and when you go on the DS mapping project, the design, I mean, it is impeccable. I love it. Love it.
Thank you so much. Yeah,
For
this one in particular, we spent extra time on the visuals and not just have data, not just raw data, but have it be a little more of a beautiful thing to look at, even though it's not necessarily the most beautiful power structure.
Right? Exactly.
And there's evil it is.
There's maps behind him too, and he's designed those as well. The energy map, and is that the Jasara map? There?
Yeah, Jasara map and energy map you see behind me.
Yeah.
And those are available. Yeah, so sorry.
Yeah, some of them are free down. Jasara is a free download, which has been, really important to get that information out so people know how to position their assets, their life earnings throughout what's about to come. And that's the other big news, actually, that I forgot to mention in my little quick news recap there was story after story of Janet Yellen warning about what's going to happen in June with the potential US default on its debt. And, stories about Biden and McCarthy being, quote, nowhere near a solution to this problem.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, we kind of hear about this every year, and then it ends up being, they finally come to a deal at the last minute. But I don't know, this year feels like it may be something a little bit different. So we'll have to just see. But yeah, it's not a good time to be reliant on government handouts because they could be dry out of money pretty soon here.
Yeah. Yeah. That could affect a lot of people that really need it. And it could also affect a lot of people that cheat the system.
It could. Yeah. I'm wondering what it's going to do to like Medicaid. That's how some of my stuff goes through Medicaid. And
yeah,
I mean, if bills aren't getting paid, there might be a few issues there.
I don't know what they're going to do, but they're going to pull hopefully a white rabbit out of their hat.
Well, I don't know. Some people think it might be better if we just do default because it's kind of like inevitable at this point. We can't just always be having our debt become more and more and more and more and more. Some people say that ever since the Federal Reserve System was first designed, it was designed to ultimately fail. It wasn't designed to be a endlessly functional system. It had a certain lifespan. And so whether that happens now or, a couple of years down the road, who knows? But it does seem like with the inflation, with the money printing, with all the money we're sending to Ukraine, just things have gotten like completely out of control. And yeah, if the longer it goes on, we'll probably see more and more inflation, and we'll probably see inflation anyways, even if they do default. But at least that will be like sort of a beginning of the end of this whole system of scamming and endlessly printing money and devaluing all of our assets that should be earning interest, but they're actually being devalued because they keep watering down the money pool of the USD.
So
And other countries aren't using our financial system to purchase high-end items.
That is correct. Yeah, I mean, Russia and China have basically stopped using the USD trade between those two countries. But there has been other Jassara news as well recently that I was made aware of in our Jassara roundtable or panel video that we recorded last week with James Rink, Q Ranker, and Nick and Susanna, where I was told that Zimbabwe has announced that they are issuing a gold-backed digital currency. And I think this is the first country where it's literally like that, a digital gold-backed digital currency. And that's exactly what we are, I wouldn't just say predicting, but what is saying is on its way in this diagram here and in the whole Jassara and Asara plan is that ultimately every country will have to go gold back. Is that methylene blue?
Yes, it is.
Wow. That looks like a lot of fun.
It's pretty, isn't it?
It's beautiful. Yeah. Almost as pretty as a Sia.
I know,
yeah.
right? We're just staying with the blue theme.
Yes. So I had a question with regards to whether, people should invest in metals, precious metals right now to kind of, really protect their assets. And we don't know which way things may go, but at least you have something to work with.
And we're not financial advisors.
Oh, we're not financial advisors in any way. It's just, again, being kind of prepared for anything, really. You should have something, a plan B in some way to kind of say, okay, I've got this just in case, right? Just like anything.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I've ever since 2019, I've been sort of restructuring my financial stuff. In 2019, after my website was deleted by Shopify, I got the hell out of Chase Bank because I was expecting that might be next. And then actually that might have been in 2020, but get out of the big banks as first, get into the smaller regional credit union banks. And then gold and silver is another good option. There's a lot of websites for that. A lot of these Patriot channels are promoting Noble Gold, which I've never used myself. Phil Godlewski has his own other gold thing. I go with sort of the more mainstream ones myself personally. I have a tax exemption on moneymetals.com. So you may one day see me reselling my Trump silver coins on my own website because that's the idea, that I'm buying them with a tax exemption. But yeah, Money Metals, there's a bunch of big ones. Provident Metals, a couple other ones I've used. I mean, you want to get them from a reliable source. I would not get them from eBay. And when I say Trump silver coins, I'm not talking about those Trump coins that are like, there's other Trump coins that aren't made of silver that are just kind of like commemorative, and some sites like saying they're going to be worth a lot one day, those are going to be worth $1,000 in the future. I don't play that either. I mean, maybe, but the safe bet is the 100% silver stuff and 100% gold stuff.
Right.
And even that is good to check it sometimes, because I mean, we're trusting that Switzerland is like the authority on these precious metals. Well, they're also the authority on corrupt banking and scamming people. And so just because it says Pamp Suisse or what's the other one, Valkyrie, I think.
Yes.
They're probably real, but I question these things, and I haven't cut any of mine in half. I mean, you can only do so much, but it's just, I hope that they're real is all I can say about that. But that's another thing. It's like, if you're going to invest your life savings in this stuff, you want to, not put all your eggs in one pot, not do all Credit Suisse or not Credit Suisse, but PAMP or whatever they are, for all coins from one source. My friend who's in actual finance and mortgages told me several years ago, your best bet is to diversify your investments. So just not everything in one place, some silver, some gold, some XRP, some XLM. I would say you can pass on having some stuff in the big banks like Chase Bank and stuff, but some in your credit union, some in your regional bank. And that's the safest you can be. If one goes down, you'll still have the other ones hopefully to fall back on. I've also found with the precious metal investment that it just seems like a lot of what do you call it? Exchange fees. You know, like there's big fees.
Spot price.
It's called spot price. Yeah, the
Yep.
spot price, like the markup when you buy it, and then the mark down when you sell it. You know,
Right.
it's not an easy transfer. It's not an easy exchange all the time. And so, you know, there's some loss in the process and all these things. And that's where I get frustrated on crypto exchanges too, is when you think you're buying $10,000 of stuff and it says, you know, maybe there's a $200 fee, and then you get it and there's like a $600 fee, and you're just like, all right, like, I guess you can't do anything about that. And so I had been kind of avoiding exchanges that I felt like were less upfront about that, where like I noticed consistently that there was fees that I wasn't seeing before I agreed to a transaction. But it's like they're always changing too now. And it's like even the main one that I've been using, which was Coinbase, they've restructured their whole thing. And like that last time I purchased from them, there was hidden fees, and same with Binance. And so it's just like, yeah, the exchanges can be a little frustrating in terms of hidden fees, but I think the benefit of crypto, especially XRP and XLM, is that when you're actually doing the peer-to-peer transactions, that's where you get basically zero fee. I mean, like fractions of a percentage of one XLM, which in itself is only like 11 cents. And so it's technically with those two currencies, those two digital currencies, there should be very, very little fees. But when you're dealing with exchanges and going from one currency to another, that's where you do get into some of these exchange fees. But I still believe that XLM and XRP are going to be very good assets to invest in the future, or to hold for the future. And even when they become more functional, like we've seen a little bit of, you know, Bitcoin becoming legal tender in a few different countries.
Right.
We haven't really seen that with XRP and XLM yet, but they really would make a better contender to be actual legal tender, because there is such low fees. And that's probably why they don't want them to be the main legal tenders, because people like PayPal and Stripe and, you know, the federal government like to take their cut of everything.
You know, I heard also that XRP, and I'm not well versed on this at all, so that XRP was going to end up being for like larger corporations, and then they'll buy, you know, the small investors out of that. But that was months ago when I was actually listening to any of that, trying to absorb it into my brain. I don't have any crypto of any kind.
That is generally correct what you said. XRP is more intended for institutional transactions between banks in different countries. Essentially, if you wanted to send a large sum of money, millions of dollars of USD to someone in China through a bank to a bank, let's say, you would translate that USD into XRP, and then they would send the XRP to that bank, and then in China they would translate that XRP into digital yuan, or, you know, physical yuan.
And it would be there in seconds rather than in days or a week.
Exactly, much faster than the SWIFT system that they currently use.
Right.
So yeah, XRP is designed for real-time cross-border settlement for institutional transactions, such as from bank to bank, whereas XLM, Stellar Lumens, are more designed for peer-to-peer, low-cost transfer of any currency on decentralized network.
And everything's outlined on that map that you have in your hand there.
Yeah, and this is the
people
Jasar
can
map.
access that from your website.
A free download, yes, correct.
Okay,
On from my main page, dsmappingproject.com. You scroll down to the flashing downloads GIF, and then you'll see all the different free downloads we offer, including this one.
And
That's
real
awesome.
quick, since we're talking about your store, I've got to share this. I am so excited by this.
Wow. Oh, that's, you got to have a light behind it. That looks awesome.
It's
Is
beautiful.
that gorgeous? I showed you the picture of it that I have next to my big oh gosh, amethyst.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's not working. It's like a little aquarium, it looks like. Yeah, so that's my beluga. It's one of my most important spirit guides. It's
I
a very
love them.
calming, peaceful, intelligent animal, and very high frequency noises that they make.
That's what I was going to say. Super high frequency. I had this next to my bed and I laid there till like 3 o'clock in the morning. My eyes, I'm like, okay, I got to move this thing. I have it where my office is. So it's just, and it kind of just takes the edge off. But the frequency when you're quiet it's almost like it was awesome. I mean, I think I put this under my water and, like to charge my water with it. And I've gotten quite a few very interesting messages. So I'm not sure I would consider it a download, but very interesting messages. This is a lot chunkier than I thought it was going to be. This is beautiful. It's beveled glass and there's copper around it, which I love the copper.
It's conductive, yeah.
I love the hologram.
There's
It's
mine.
beautiful. It's like a projection. The looking through the glass, right? The
Yeah,
looking
it's all
glass.
transparency. And so just so people know, those are called Pleiadian discs. They're made by a woman, Sherry Lynn, who lives here in Ohio. And this technology has been passed down since its original inventor, and she's added her own modifications to it. The beluga design is my custom design that I had her make, but she makes all kinds of different ones. Do I have any within reach? Oh, here's my my light code one. This is another custom one that I designed. It's the light code one that's pure hologram.
Wow.
And so people are probably a little bit confused like what to do with these things, but they're meditation tools. They're great just display tools in a crystal grid. They come with a stand when I sell them, so you can set them up like standing like that.
Like here.
Yeah. And meditation, you can also kind of use it for massage sometimes if you roll it on your body.
I did
You
that.
can hold it up to the light and try to like look at the sun. This one's not transparent, but it's a lot of different things you can do. They're just beautiful. And once you get one, you start collecting them, and then you have like way too many Pleiadian discs, and your drawers are exploding with Pleiadian discs. But they're a lot of fun. It's kind of like a supplement to your crystal collection.
Yeah, I
And
don't
so,
think
yes,
you
we
can
sell
have,
those on my website as well.
you couldn't have too many. And I'm looking over at your pyramid, your Nubian pyramid over there, and that chair, that would be a great place to put it, would be underneath that chair as well.
Yeah, you can lay them flat or put them on the stand, or
Yep.
like you said, charge a cup on top of it, even though that makes me a little nervous because they are glass. I'm not sure if the cup might scratch it if you do that long term.
This has like a beveled bottom on it, so it just
Yeah.
fits perfectly over the top. So yes, I would definitely be careful with it. Yeah, I don't want to break my beluga whales.
Mhm.
It's so beautiful.
Question for you. Since they're custom made, are they available in crystal as well? Or is it just the glass designs that you have available?
Well, it is considered crystal. The glass is crystal glass. It's not natural quartz, but it is like crystal. So that charges it up a little bit too. It adds to the energy, and the copper too is like conductive, and so it's a lot going on energetically with those, and it's been developed over a long period of time to really refine it. And some of the ones that Sherry sells have all different layers of like hologram and dichroic glass, and like I mean her website, she has even more impressive ones. And when she does her booth at different vending situations around here, it's you walk up to this booth and it's like, wow, like when you see all of them together that she has, it's impressive.
Beautiful.
So yeah,
And
if
are-
you want to see her website, it's Pleiadian Healing Discs. If you search for that, you'll see her whole collection, but we have like a micro collection of them that we offer at DSMP.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm writing it down.
Me too. I'll make notes.
Taking notes. So watching that video of you walking around the grounds of a Trump hotel, first of all, I so wanted to be there. That was so gorgeous. And the pool at the end, that was awesome too. So this person that you met just by happenstance that mentioned some very interesting things. Have you reached back out to her to see what you could talk about?
I have texted with her once. I'm actually would be interested in doing an interview with her and seeing what we can get her to say on camera, because she was just attending. She wasn't a speaker or anything, but very well connected with Wano Savin. I'm not sure if she would want me to share her name on a video yet. I'll have to clear that by her. But yeah, I would love to get her on a video and see what else she knows. Because actually something else you'd be interested in is the last night, right before we kind of split ways, and we didn't get to say goodbye because we were walking back from the pool, and we were walking through like the little rotunda of the lobby outside. And I kind of went to the left and she went to the right. And then this giant truck that said Jesus on the side of it with 2 giant American flags was like in between us. And I started filming that. And I guess she kept walking. So we didn't get to say goodbye to each other. But right before that happened, we were standing waiting for another friend. And she was like, so do you do light language? Like, and she just started doing some light language. And I was like, well, I do the deep Tibetan light language, like, and she was like, oh, wow, that sounds a lot like what I heard actually in Tibet, like from the monks. And I was like, well, maybe I'm, having some kind of remembrance of a past experience in that. But so she did light language too. And I was just like, this girl is advanced way beyond, the general crowd at that Reawakening tour is like pretty much the Sunday church crowd. And of course, they're privy to more than a normie per se, but not too many people there are ready for the light language unless they want to call it speaking in tongues, which they do in some churches and services. But this girl was on the next level, super, I think, Pleiadian.
That's so cool.
That was my question for you next, was did you feel the energy was out of this world with her, that this is not something that you've experienced before? She could be a potential Pleiadian in a physical form.
I definitely picked up on the Pleiadian vibes and just like the deep truther vibes, which seems to align a lot with Pleiadians. I mean, we think that basically the white hats and the team behind Maestro is working with the Pleiadians as well. And so it's kind of like all those energies kind of synchronize, and working with the Galactic Federation and other benevolent ET species as well, of course. She did say one other thing to me the first night, which was not necessarily shocking or disturbing, but she was like, like Donald, Trump doesn't actually make any of these decisions himself. Like there's people behind him that control him. And I was like, well, I know that to a degree, but I like to think that he has somewhat autonomy and not just, completely blackmailed for doing some horrible stuff, and that, people just controlling him like a puppet. And she was like, well, no, there's like people behind him that make every decision. And I was like, well, who exactly would you be referring to? Like, white nobility people, or, nobles that are pro MAGA from different countries? Or I was like, I hope not. You're referring to I hope you're not referring to the Rothschilds,
Exactly.
And she kind of wouldn't answer that question fully to say who's really controlling him. I mean, of course, we know he has donors. Some of them are, very rich public figures. You can look that up publicly. So, I mean, obviously, the biggest donor probably has the most oomph in controlling something like that. But Trump was very rich to begin with as well. And so I want to get the straight answer from her about that question. But the other thing that I realized at that Trump resort, which I didn't mention in my video, was walking around that resort, you kept seeing over and over and over this Trump crest, right? You might have seen it in the very beginning of the video that I made. Actually, I zoomed in on it a couple times and even showed a really close zoom in of it that was right in the intro, the first 1 minute of my video. And
I do remember seeing that, but it was so action packed. I forgot that I saw it.
I'm gonna pop this up here just to show you guys, close up of what this thing really looked like. And, if to the uneducated eye, you might just think this is a fancy design that they came up for for a hotel chain. But to the trained eye, if you understand crests and heraldry and coats of arms and nobility, I'm pretty sure that this is not just a design they came up with for a hotel chain, that this is actually a crest of a noble family that's been passed down. Mm-hmm. And there's many elements of it. And I'm going to grab something. If you guys keep the conversation going for 10 seconds here.
We've got you. We got
you. Oh my God, I love him.
Yeah, this crest actually looks more royal, doesn't it? And so kind of
and the fist holding the scepter or an arrow. I'm not quite sure.
Not the current crest likeness at all in any way. It's more of something very kind of going back into
ancient.
ancient, 1800s, possibly, maybe somewhere around there. What do you feel?
Older.
So at the previous Psychic Expo here in Cincinnati, there is always this booth that has books, and it has the most amazing books, like full sections on masonry and religion and occult, and every different, it's like the most amazing bookshop. I just want to buy everything there. But the one book I bought at this last one, which was in April, that I was drawn to was this. The complete book of heraldry. And so I've just been really interested. Huh?
I said, keep that up there really quick. I didn't get to see it. That's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so this it's a whole book, very pictorial, like there's pictures on every page. Well, I lost my bookmark. But just going through the whole history of how this developed and what the different symbols mean, how a crest changes with a marriage. And I'm just a little bit of ways into this, so I can't do like a full decode on heraldry yet. But having looked at this just a little bit and then seeing Trump's crest there, I can tell it's legit, like they know what they're doing. And this kind of lends credence to the theory that maybe Trump does kind of have royal ancestry going back to presumably Scotland, right? And he just opened this new golf resort in Scotland. He showed up there with like a king's entrance with bagpipes and red carpet. And this just lends more and more credit to this theory I've been working on for several years now, which is, or more like a map I've been planning, which is the white nobility map, which is tracking positive figures throughout history who have had, like a noble background, and that not all nobility is necessarily satanic and doing black magic. Getting
Give me the
goosebumps.
goosebumps.
And it's that map has been hard to really pull together because they've kind of been written out of history. The history books have remembered them, and even some of them, history has cast them as bad characters because the cabal's in charge. The evil one who's in charge makes the history. And so when there's a good person that came from a royal family, they say that this was, I don't know what example to use, but like Richard the Terrible or something, they say it was a bad person so that people won't remember them in a good light. That's how they would have us remember Trump, most likely, if the cabal were to win. And so I think there is definitely something going on there, that Trump may have some royal heritage, maybe even a claim to a throne in some place like Scotland, or maybe even the whole world. We saw in his tour of the world in 2017 when he went to Saudi Arabia, they treated him like a king. When he went to Japan, they treated him like a king. Sword dance, exactly.
He's holding the sword.
So there seems like there is something going on in that department, and seeing all those crests kind of brought it home for me, and made me really want to flush out my own white nobility map a little bit more.
I wonder if he sat on the stone.
Maybe so. I heard that stone was.
I was told that not regarding the stone, but the color ink that the coronation was signed in wasn't signed in the proper color ink.
Yeah, there was a lot of discrepancies with that coronation. Let's just say the least. That a lot like Joe Biden's presidency, I've been hearing more and more that because of the number of cannons that were fired at the inauguration of Biden, it was
funeral
3 cannons, which indicates a funeral.
Yep. Whereas
4 cannons would indicate an inauguration.
Right.
And I'm sure there was similar stuff going on with the King Charles coronation, that it's inaugurating a king that's already dead in some way.
Oh, lordy.
A lot to track.
So we've been hearing that June, the end of this month, or you hear dates like June 13th or whatever whatever it's supposed to be, for some pretty intense things to happen, and all the while we're getting blasted with sun spots, and the energies the last week have been all over the place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the CMEs and the M flares, they're all coming from all areas, right? They're hitting the planet for sure. And we're feeling the intense energies. And I'm not sure if you can relate to that, Dylan. Some real intense shifts happening in the body, whether it's emotionally, physically. I certainly felt them. And it's almost like they're shaking you to release the old belief systems, the old emotional buildup back up in the body itself. It's been pretty intense for the past week. And I think I've shared some of my experiences with you, Diane, over the last several days. It's pretty interesting for sure. But yeah, you name it, and you're feeling it. It's almost like that coal being crushed to be a diamond kind of thing.
Yeah, getting ready for that big one. That's going to be the great solar flash, maybe. But in terms of a date of when everything's going to hit the fan, I can't say. There's been a lot of people saying that something may go off the rails this summer. There was just these stories about all these explosives disappearing off of a train, which who knows what city that might end up in. One of the other predictions that woman who seemed to have some insider knowledge told me was that 14 states would be heavily attacked before this return of DJT in potentially January 24, and that Chicago would get hit with a nuclear event of some kind.
I heard that.
And so that's a little bit concerning. But I think there's enough indications already that Chicago should be evacuated by anyone that is a light worker, at least to the suburbs. We've seen just that city seems to be one of the most mismanaged in our country.
Yeah. So did we get an elaboration on what the attacks would be looking like, smelling like, feeling like? Or
she didn't say anything, but I would assume that it could be, more of these fires, like we've seen, wildfires, potentially flooding, potentially earthquake, potentially some types of terrorism. So, and potentially blackouts. So all things to be prepared for, to be outside of the large city ranges. I'm not sure. I doubt too many suburbs like of these big cities will be affected, but it's just always good to have a little distance between where is going to be a hot spot. I mean, that's one of the reasons I got out of Manhattan back in 2014, because I lived through Hurricane Sandy there and was without power in Lower Manhattan for like 2 days, which all we had to do was walk across the Brooklyn Bridge to go to a brunch with full power at that time. But I had walked from like the 60 something street back down to Chinatown, and passing like 14th Street, you went into like the pure blackness, and it was just pretty creepy. And you just realized if this power outage lasted a little bit longer and was a little more widespread, like this could get real crazy.
Yeah, it could get ugly fast.
I mean, it could get ugly anywhere, but if in the suburbs or rural, and you have a house to defend, that's a lot easier than trying to defend yourself in a 9th floor apartment and get food in a big city. So
right, and move around, no way. That would be a little rough.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say, this is no way fear mongering or anything. This is just some possible potential, anything can happen kind of thing, right? So we've seen some crazy stuff happen, but at the same time, how do we prepare ourselves?
We want to keep it high vibe, and something I was hearing Sam Muggsy say last night on what's her show called, Quantum Shift, was that when you're prepared, you don't have to worry about these things. You can be even excited, like, let's finally get to use these food supplies. And I'm not even that prepared. Like, I don't have food supplies. I have guns and ammo. I'm in the suburbs. I have like 4 cans of chicken. I hope that's enough. But if I had full control over this whole situation, and maybe even unlimited funds, I would have a little bit more food supply, my Patriot supply, a month of food. It depends on your situation, where you are, how much storage space you have, which I just freed up a lot more storage in this house. So actually, maybe I could have some food supplies.
Right.
Definitely have some water supply is probably even more important, because I can go on a water fast for, a little bit longer than a food fast.
Right.
I
Or we
Exactly.
can go on a food fast longer than a water fast, actually, is what I meant to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you're going to need water for all of it.
Yeah, water is the most important. And I also have a new filter that's like ready to go, ready to pop in the Alexa Pure for a creek over here, which I'm not looking forward to drinking the creek water. But if the bottled water runs out, we have options.
Oh, that's cool. That's
So
very
yeah,
cool.
it's not fear mongering. It's just, being prepared.
Mm.
And then you don't have to be in fear when you know you're prepared. But there's certain
Exactly.
things you can never prepare for too, which is why I don't go too deep into the prepping, because it's like if you're going to get hit with one of those wildfires that like destroys a whole neighborhood in California, I mean, you can't prepare for that. You just gotta not be in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Right. I agree.
And same
Yeah.
with like hurricanes and to an extent flooding. We've done actually extensive renovations right outside my bedroom window here to prevent another flood, because our house did flood like last maybe 2 years ago now. Not a horrible flood, but it's just carpet in the basement, not fun to dry out. And so we've basically built up like a trench wall.
That's a great idea. I mean, a flood's a flood. It's still gonna cause damage that needs to be repaired and fixed. And floods are no joke.
No, you mentioned wildfires and stuff. I know in Edmonton, in Canada here, what it's not even extreme heat yet, but we've got wildfires happening. And so it's just interesting what's happening. And the other thing was depth of the water, things bubbling, the tectonic plates moving. So have you heard about that? I heard a little bit about it. So I don't know if you have any more insights on that at all, because they were saying the tectonic plates are moving, there's things kind of, bubbling in the waters. And I don't know if watching the waters if that's what it's about.
I have not heard that, but it wouldn't surprise me. I think, we are expecting some tectonic shifts with the earth changes that are coming. And where did you hear that was occurring?
I was looking at some feed. If I find it, I'll send it to you.
I think I heard something like it was happening in the Appalachian area.
But that's not a water body.
No, but there's there's streams
Just
and
things bubbling up.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I was a little kid, we went to Yellowstone, and we camped there for like a week, or seemed like forever. But I'm not a huge camper, but it was fun. We were on a river, but an earthquake had hit on that river and wiped everybody out that was in the campground, because all of this mountain came down over the top of it and actually changed the course of the river. But when you went out in that river, the river water was very swift, but not swift enough that you couldn't see bubbles coming up from the bottom. And it was warm. It wasn't hot. It wasn't, you know what I mean? But the river was moving quite quickly, but you could see bubbles coming up. So there's some stuff happening under there.
Well, Yellowstone recently was a place where activities are happening. So small movement in Yellowstone Park as well. So I think that was in recent, I don't know if it was on Telegram. I was, looking at some of the group postings. So it's interesting what's happening globally, how the energies are definitely intensifying into how, there's so much movement at the core of the earth.
I watch a guy who puts out these little short videos, and he includes the super caldera of Yellowstone, and he does the lakes and whatnot, how much they've risen and go down. And it's Mr. MBB 333, and he does funky stuff with sun, and he does photographs with sun, and then people send in videos of unidentified almost everything you could imagine. Stuff like that is very interesting, and they're usually about in between 10 and sometimes 15-minute videos, but there's every day he does report on that type of thing. So there's charts, and they'll put up blue colors and red colors. One means magma, and the other one means an earthquake. And so they're and it's all over the Yellowstone Park area. It's kind of fascinating.
Yeah, I
So-
think we can expect more Earth changes, more of these man-made events as well. Maybe some man-made events that are billed as Earth changes, by the mainstream media. Other types of just chaos orchestrated events, terrorism. It could get pretty wild here. I mean, there's always some stuff going on in the world, but I think we are coming to kind of a crescendo here, especially with the war in Ukraine heating up. There was just articles about the Ukrainians driving American-made vehicles into Russian territory to do basically terrorism against civilians. And so it's just escalating one little step at a time here. And hopefully this does get more or less wrapped up by January 2024, but it could be a pretty crazy rest of the year here in 2023.
Yeah, I also heard another report. Now, this is hearsay, everyone, that our country, whomever you would like to name, agreed to send jets over to Ukraine as long as the Ukrainians didn't use them against the Russians. What kind of shitty, I mean, what? I mean, damn well they're going to just get in them and go, yeah, tech. I'm not going to see how fast I can fly this damn thing, right? Do the loop-de-loop.
No, the lies coming out of the mainstream Pentagon press conferences about, what their intention is for all these weapons going to Ukraine is just like, give us a break. Like, why even make a fool of yourself pretending that, they don't expect these weapons to be used on Russian territory in any way, or, misused by these Ukrainian complete Nazis.
Right. Oh my gosh. And so many people, I mean, I watch TV very rarely, but when I do, I'll just scroll down just to see what's on, right? And there's a whole entire channel whole entire channel that says, assist the Ukraine. So you could go onto the channel and make a donation.
Oh,
and I'm like, do you know who you're donating to? Is anybody asking that question? Oh my God. It's insane. And trust me, I don't say it's okay that anybody gets killed. I don't like war. I do not, I'm against all of that. However, people other than myself threw their hat into the ring. Now, I would, love to go grab that hat and beat the crap out of the one that did that. So, with his own hat. But we're left with where we're at. You know what I mean? We're left with dealing with, is it a lie? Is it the truth? What are we hearing that's real? And you know what? I saw a guy, gosh, you know what? I should have written his name down. He was in the Ukraine. He was not Ukrainian, but he was reporting, walking down the street, and the street was beautiful. And he said, I'm not Russian and I'm not Ukrainian. However, I do speak their language. And I would honestly, once this is all cleared up, this is one of the most beautiful cities I've ever been in. I would actually buy one of these apartments.
There are luxury suburbs in Ukraine, which, they're not showing that in too many of the news feeds. Some say that even some of the destruction in the news has been CGI or enhanced, but I'd have to go over there to actually see it. It's so hard to know what's really going on from a distance and through the filters of the mainstream and even through Russian propaganda filters. Like there are channels on Telegram that are really reporting like the Russian side of this conflict, which you can get, information you won't see anywhere else there. But even that, you have to question whether it's maybe been doctored or exaggerated.
I know. I mean, it's like, it's so crazy now. You have to have your very own boots on the ground, your very own eyes to see, and then your very own heart to feel, am I still being duped here?
Discernment, right? Usually discernment. So feel it out. And I think during these crazy times, we have to not only look after ourselves, but our neighbors. We have to look after our family and friends. We have to kind of just do our best each and every day. We show up with that right? Loving energy, just support each other. There's nothing more than what's our ultimate purpose is to love.
Yes.
That's it, acceptance and love. And when we can kind of just live in the moment of, okay, there's so much noise out there, there's a lot going on, but how do we kind of bring that focus back to centering yourself, bring your focus back to aligning yourself? And it's in that power that we kind of start to align and understand and be. That's where it all kind of starts to make sense.
And what the Pleiadians always say is the only mission of us light workers here on Earth is to raise our own vibration. It's not to save everyone else, to raise your own vibration, and that will have a ripple effect, a diffusion effect, kind of like putting a little bit of a Sia into normal water. Like it can structure it. It can, some people say that like the energy of one drop of water can transform the whole energy of a jug of water if it's a higher vibration maybe. And so that's kind of the idea with us as starseeds, to raise our own vibration. And whether, no matter what we do with that, just being a higher vibration ourselves will have the right effect on everyone else. I mean, I think it would help to get out in it. If you raise your vibration and just stay locked in your house all the time, might have a little bit less of an effect. But if you raise your vibration and go, mingle with people and go out and actually do things in the world, then that's all you have to do.
I've been doing the Ho'oponopono prayer. Are you familiar with that?
I'm not sure.
It's a Hawaiian Ho'oponopono prayer. It's I love you. I'm sorry. It's a forgiveness prayer. I'm sorry. Forgive me. Thank you. It doesn't go into any of the big explanation. It's just the simplicity of this. It is amazing how it will help you just let go of certain things, that are, maybe ailing your heart, or your mind. And repeating the word love and just putting your hand over your heart. It's a huge thing. And your breath, breath work is huge. How you doing?
I think he's
hard.
Yeah.
I'm doing good.
That's awesome. I know we're just over the hour. How are you doing for time? Should we wrap up for today? We would love to have you back again.
Yeah, I mean, I have time, but I don't just, it's been such a crazy couple of weeks. I've just been going from one thing to the next and haven't even had time to collect notes or meditate or do anything like that. It's just been kind of like on mission mode. I feel like that's what it's been. It's been like on mission mode. Even at this wedding, like me and my friend kind of got put in charge in a way of let's say somewhat babysitting older people who are actually going through some like withdrawal symptoms, and just really trying to get them to change their life and get on the right vibration and the right path. And so it's just light work on every level, in terms of affecting the global consciousness down to affecting just individuals that are sort of lost on their path, and just always being there to help the collective and serve the greater good.
Next time we have a chat here, I would love to talk about our diets.
I would love talking about diet.
I know. And I watched a video with you in it, and it was in someone's house, and it was kind of like a round robin. This has been several months back, and it just popped into my head. And you're all in there having a conversation. I don't remember, it might have been about food or diet, but I think it had a lot to do with kind of everything. Like it was maybe like a neighborhood get together or something. There was probably like 15 people in the room. Do you remember that?
Maybe it was one of our Patriot meetups.
It might have been. Oh yeah, you know what? It probably was, because I kind of came in on it. I didn't.
Oh, when Ross gave the talk about the carnivore diet.
Probably. And there was this
Yeah.
beautiful fireplace, the beautiful
Mhm.
fireplace. Yeah. That, and I'm like, what? You know, I like this. And I had just started it myself. And then you guys are talking about it. I'm like, dig it. Awesome. We'll have to talk about that one of
Yeah,
these
we
days.
can talk about that. My friend Ross taught me a lot about the carnivore diet and the sous vide technique of cooking, which go well hand
Oh.
in hand together.
I don't even know what that is. I need to know.
I'm excited to
Save it
learn
for
that next time you're on. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm feeling good. I mean, the best news of all from the past 2 weeks, because I was worried about going to Florida twice in 2 weeks and an expo and a wedding. I feel great, no sickness, no COVID. Actually, my dad just came back from a biking trip in Italy with COVID, and he's not feeling good. It won't take any supplements, won't take any advice, only wants to do traditional Western medicine stuff. And so I'm like, I hope he's okay. I mean, you can't force these people to take these remedies that we know are so beneficial. But yeah, I mean, the good news is that throughout these 2 trips to Florida, I feel great. Airplanes, airports, never even felt a little bit under the weather. And so had my ASEA. The bad news is that I left one of my mini ASEA travel bottles in Florida, which I'm like,
No.
but
Yeah,
actually
they're
I've
not
already
easy to
ordered
get.
2 replacement ones. So
Yeah, they're not easy to get a hold of.
yeah, I mean,
That's-
you can't bring this big bottle on a trip, and so you get their little like to-go bottles. And I've had 2 of them that I bring on like a 3-day trip, and I have to ration it, which I don't like, but it's enough. But I'm planning to have at least 3 to bring on trips, maybe more. So we
Mhm.
can just keep popping a sea of that whole trip.
Yeah, I know. You know what? So I had experimented on what you had spoken about the last time, is that you kind of cycle in and out of it. And I'm telling you, so I went off of the ASEA for probably 4 days. And every morning I felt like, why do I feel hungover? Just, like that little slight hangover, I'm just not quite waking up all the way. And so finally I went, screw it. I'm not going to go for 7 days. I just did my 4 days, and I grabbed my ASEA bottle, and I'm like, I'm over this.
What's good is the travel pouches. When you're traveling, grab a pack of travel pouches. They're easier to just throw in your
Oh yeah,
suitcase.
those soft ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
How many
Because
ounces are they?
I think it's an 8-ounce pouch.
I see. I haven't traveled in such a long time on a jet, so I don't know what the.
They're so convenient. Yeah, you can
Well, I
order them.
know for TSA, they do permit liquid supplements or liquid medication, but you might have to have an argument with the TSA person at security about like what the hell this stuff really is.
Goody.
But that's why I like the little to-go ones, that it's under 2 ounces. You don't have to have an argument with anyone, but it would be nice to bring a larger amount. That's true, Satnam.
Right. You can have them all in these little things in a big Ziploc bag, and they're fine with it. Right. It's ridiculous.
But if you have one bag, it's a problem. Yeah. I
Right.
hope
Right.
those rules change sometime in the future, because it's just, yeah, the TSA is the worst part about flying.
It is. It is. I remember when I got pulled aside and frisked, and it was like, oh, well, this is new. Okay. My husband's just standing there like, wow, they got her.
Well, remember when they used to like raise the alert level to orange, or levels at red, and they try to make everyone afraid of flying that weekend? And it's just like, haven't heard about that in 10 years. I guess we got rid of every terrorist, it's just, or it was just kind of BS to begin with.
Yeah, I'm thinking. Yep.
So I think we should wrap up for today. We're going to love to hear from you again on future subjects like diets, and we're going to have you back on soon. We thank you, Dylan, for all that you bring forward and all that you've shared. And I know you're very tired, but we really appreciate the fact that you've had the level of energy that you have, just to kind of stay awake. You're in a different timeline too, so time zone. So we appreciate the time that you've given us. Really, really appreciate it. I know all the High Vibes Up family appreciate connecting with us today in the chats, and they all send you hellos and their love and appreciation. So
you're one of their favorites.
For sure,
well,
for sure.
Thanks so much for having me. I was able to sleep in today, so I'm not that tired, but I am just just brain scattered from booking flights and hotels and moving. It's just a lot. So just want to make sure everyone remembers it's New Templars on Rumble if you want to see my other videos, if you want to see my Florida trip, and DSMP. It will be the link in the bio to check out all the different stuff we offer on the main website. And one other thing I want to show you is our newest sticker is the new version of the light code. It's the hologram glitter light code sticker. And
Wow.
These will be coming in several of our different packets, but it's also sold either individually or in bulk. And so we're really excited about that.
So
That
what
is
would that be
super
used for? Oh, sorry. What would that be used
You
for?
can put this on a car, on a laptop, on a water bottle. And the idea, this symbol represents light codes. So, oh, I just got a ding in my ear when I said that, but telepathic transmissions from whatever spirit guide you wish to communicate with, your highest guidance.
You
What
sent
that
me
symbol represents.
the two little stickers that the others
look like
the other what's that?
That look like a light code.
No, they're they kind of almost look like Space Force kind of.
Oh yeah, the Galactic Patriot Alliance stickers.
Yes, those are
work on
very
water
cool.
bottles too. Yeah, we got
Okay,
a lot
so
of different stickers.
those do the same thing.
No, that's more just like
Cool
that's
sticker.
more like a military logo division kind of thing.
That's very cool. I like it.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for having me. You guys, always good to reconnect. And I'm wishing Kit and Candi the best as well. Actually, I tried to talk to Candi the night before I was leaving to Reawakening, and I was too frantic packing. And so I need to really get an update from them, but sending them all the healing. And thank you guys for, keeping the channel going while they're on their healing journey.
We so love you having you on here, and you're welcome back anytime you want.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, Dylan. Appreciate it. And have a wonderful evening. And hope you feel refreshed and rested until we connect again. Thank you so much. Thanks to Diane. Thank you, High Vibes Up family, everybody who connected. And don't forget to take advantage of the promo for the Self Performance Packs, because it starts today until the 31st.
I'm going to be getting that.
Yes, we're going to take advantage of that. So if anybody who joined us afterwards, this is the Self Performance Packs. You buy 3, you get 1 free. It's a $50 value. And the promotion goes on from today till the 31st. It comes in 3 different flavors. It has redox in it. So one's for mind, mood, and energy. And you can combine all 3 together and have them as a combo or individually. Great flavors, berry, citrus, and tropical. Awesome. So,
and if you feel in your heart that you would like to donate to Kids Healing Services, please do so. That is in the link tree, and you can, I think it says Kids Healing Services or something like that. Please, if you feel it in your heart, every little bit counts. And we are, we're going through each phase that we need to go through, and he's still needing our help, and we love him so much. I love that kid.
Yeah. Love to all of you. Thank you. Until next time, tune in then. Have a great one. Be safe, be well. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.